hope he's okay. We are live.
Barely.
Yeah,
3,
more or less.
2, 1.
Skibbity, 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 spin. Stop! Hammer time!
Hammer time.
Do you have to start the week so gay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
wish.
guys, but Joe's not here. He's not going to be here for a bit because this week he's gardening for the house, doing yard work, and then he's going to be taking care of his mom for a couple of weeks. So we're probably not going to see him this month, sadly. Maybe before the end of the month we'll get him back on. And still haven't heard a word from Pope. I hope he's okay.
Yeah,
while
that's
we're doing
weird.
this show, I'll shoot him an email too, going, "Hey man, I hope you're okay." I'll narrate the letter as I write it, so everybody can enjoy this.
Welcome to my life.
And I'll write it to him in a way that a Marine will understand.
Oh my God. So, coursing galore.
Yo, man, get your ass back on. Stop fucking around.
Dear,
What the fuck are you?
dearest Hope, I write this letter
Hoping it finds you well.
while streaming on Military Monday. My loins ache for you.
Oh, Jesus
my
Christ,
God.
Gerry.
And pray
We'll never
this
have him back.
letter finds you well. Let me think.
No,
What
no, no.
should I say to him?
Wait. Edit that. My loins yearn for your tender company.
Oh, God.
As
We'll
long as
never
it's
have
gay.
any military people on the stream again.
Oh no, they love this shit. Military, in particular, Marines love the gay joke. Dearest Pope, I write this letter streaming on Military Monday. My loins
Oh, God, no.
you to return one day. There, I changed it to that. And pray this letter finds you well.
Even my cat is cringing.
The chat says that it aches for you as well.
I hope you start reading that mail mid coffee.
I do too. Anyway, buddy.
Snorty asks, are those tenderloins?
There, I wrote it to him. All right, should I send it, guys?
Of course.
What does the chat think? What does the chat think?
I think they're all for it.
I want to know. I want to hear at least one person say send it. Come on, CJ. Come on,
Heard it, guys.
Come on, Snort. One of you guys needs to tell me to send it, and then I'll hit send. Should I send pics? Oh my God, I love Pope. I hope he's doing well.
Emmanuel says do it.
I was glad that his job didn't. Okay, Emmanuel said send it. I am sending it. Send. I love Pope so much, and I love Joe, and I like it when I have my military vet friends on here with me, because really that's what the show's about. Military veterans and their friends joining the show to talk about military stuff. So we're going to be talking about. Really, this is a great film. It really is. And I want to point out 2 people suggested this film right at the same time. And it's funny. Separately, they suggested this. Tom Baker and Martin. both suggested this film. And I got to be honest, it kind of pissed me off, and I didn't like you guys for a bit because I should have come up with this film.
Man, I've been thinking about this movie since we did Behind Enemy Lines.
Yeah,
Because the role reversal of Hackman.
It's what it is, yeah.
it's exactly what it is, and I'm certain that probably led to him being cast, or looked at for the movie. Now, I'm here to tell you that this movie, because I did my due research last night before I went to bed. It is a true story. I always thought it was based on a true story. When it says that, I'm like, that means they didn't really base it on a true story.
They did here.
They'll take the events and stuff. Well, they did a lot of it. I mean, a lot of it is directly based on it. But
Hamilton was behind enemy lines for 11.5 days, dude.
The only character who's real in this movie is Gene Hackman's character. All the other characters are based on multiple people, and it's like one character is based on a bunch of people. And Danny Glover's character does not exist in real life, which made me sad when I read that. I was like, oh wow.
I wanted him to be real
he was a
too.
real guy, but but everything that happens to Gene Hackman's character and everything that is depicted in the film, except for the second crash landing in the helicopter, is true. That's also fictional. And he was saved. And, in the reports that I read, it said Navy SEALs, but Navy SEALs, I don't think had their name yet. They were still UDT at the time, back in the 60s, but they were still what SEALs. They were doing the same job as Navy SEALs. They just didn't have the acronym yet. And because that was Marchenko, Richard Marchenko, who came up with the name Navy SEALs, or the SEALs. And East Lindbergh called her, I want to write like you. I like it. It's kind of fun. I've never done that before. Narrated a letter as I'm writing it, so you guys can
do it all the time when we hang out and you write stuff.
Yeah, when you and I hang out, I do it all the time, but never on a
welcome to my life. I get that all the time.
By the way, we have CJ Prime again amongst us.
Welcome back.
I saw the avatar and I thought for a second that was Mikey, but hey, CJ Prime, yeah. I saw the name, didn't see the. When I'm looking at the chat, I can't see the avatars too well because I've got crappy eyes. Dude, you type the phrase blue jeans bursting. Or did you? Okay, did you? Okay, yeah. No, I didn't.
You know what, jeans?
I have joking old friends of mine in private, sometimes in public. Yes, I'm. What is that line from Family Guy that I said? Oh, suddenly my penis is suffering from some sort of rigor mortis. I've always thought that was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. That's when Stewie is hiding in the locker, looking out at the cheerleaders as they're taking showers, and he goes, he does an oh my kind of thing, and he goes, oh, well, suddenly my penis is suffering from some sort of rigor mortis. He couldn't understand what was going on. That was funny as shit. Chad John from Facebook, sorry, no problem. You never have to apologize for using a different name. I like CJ Prime. I think it's cool. I went CJ Prime because of my maybe on YouTube using the name Prime. So I took the Matrix from them. Gotcha. Yeah. And I got to tell you, there seems to be like much less pussies on X, Twitter these days.
Hey, we have Mev.
I hardly, it's like I enjoy when people give me pushback on Twitter, but I don't post political stuff on Facebook at all because I don't trust Facebook. I don't care if he fired everybody. I don't care. I don't trust that motherfucker. He bent a knee to the CIA and the FBI. Hey, Mephisto, how you doing, buddy?
Facebook is not the place to go political.
No. I go to Facebook for one reason only: to stay connected to my friends and family. If because I abandoned my one account, I still go there and check it, but too many people wanted to friend me, and there were so many on there, and I just didn't. It was such an ordeal to try to delete them. I'm like, oh, and I just abandoned the account and went to my secondary account, my backup, because way back in the day, I would say things that would get me in trouble. Next thing you know, I'm timed out. I'm put in timeout by Facebook. And so I just decided to leave that politics. And the only people that were on the other account to begin with were just my friends and family, because I didn't want my family in particular on my other account because they annoy me. No X is decent. Facebook, if for friends only, I talk to in private chats. Yeah, same here. I hardly ever post anything on my Facebook page. What I do, I hate saying this, is because it just sounds like you're saying do. What I do on Facebook is the groups, because Martin, all of us manage the Facebook group, and I like the Facebook group. I like seeing some of the shit gets posted in there, and Messenger is the best because I've got Andy, Morrow, and Tim messaging me funny shit or serious shit, politics, dealing with shit going on in the UK or here in the US. They're posting messages to me all the time, and I enjoy it. I like it. I like it a lot. So Anima and Martin's thumbnails
crack?
are staring at me and trying to steal my soul.
Just look at my avatar. Those are my real eyes. No AI tampering.
And by the way, on Twitter, I do not get political or a pop culture minefield account. In fact, I don't spend any time on the pop culture minefield account on X. That's Martin. Martin is the one on there. I know John was on there for a bit, but does he still post or do anything?
Not that I know of.
I have an appointment, by the way, right after the show today. I gotta end the show quickly because I gotta go to a doctor's appointment.
Too. Have to go to the dentist yet again.
She's gonna figure out what's wrong with me, why my penis is so big, and how my back can't handle it.
So you're going to the psychiatrist?
Women aren't the only ones that have to, worry about their backs with their big boobs.
You're going to a psychiatrist to treat your delusions?
No, he hasn't reached that yet.
Oh, the end of my penis? Yeah, I can't reach it.
Jesus Christ, that's not what I said.
Oh, well, I was reading the chat and I just assumed that's what you guys are talking about. So, I don't know what's this about Mel Brooks? Did I miss something?
I have no idea.
It's good. Tom is quoting Mel.
Joe Kenda. I like that guy. I used to really like him. I used to watch his shows because he really gets into the mud with it doing a criminal investigation on murder. He was very good at his job as a detective, but he's a big lefty, and he would knowingly change information on his what do you call it? Anytime it involved a weapon by a citizen, he would throw his politics into it.
Oh,
how's it going, guys?
So the invite don't hit you, but when I write you a gay letter, you
oh, that letter fucking had me dying, dude.
And he read
I was narrating it as I'm writing it.
Oh, I could hear it too. I was just like,
my dearest Pope.
Like, I heard it in your voice too. It just had me geeking out constantly for like 10 minutes.
Oh, man. And, it's like somebody said, I don't know if it was Martin or what, said, do you really want to write it that way? And I'm like, good. Let me tell you something. Marines in particular love gay jokes.
Somebody
well,
say that was
the
me,
best
you
part is
asshole.
I heard it as like you trying to narrate like a Civil War letter.
That's exactly how I was writing
As
it.
as like a Southern gentleman. Like there
That's
is
exactly how I was writing it. Because I don't know if you've ever read those. There was a book that came out many years ago, Civil War Letters. And it's just front to back, page after page of handwritten letters turned into a book.
I've read a bunch of them, and they are some of the coolest parts of American history I think I've ever actually read.
And amazingly, back when people think that they were illiterate then, people are more illiterate today than they were in the 1860s.
Back then, I mean, they were literate. Like they were.
Some
they
of those
studied
letters were using words that people don't even know today. You know.
Well, and they didn't just learn how to read; they studied classics in school, like in normal school. They read Shakespeare. They read, a whole bunch of what was considered now classic literature.
Right.
And
and
they made normal references to it in these letters from books that they may not have ever actually read.
Yeah. And there's another one that was published a long time ago that I can't find a copy of today, with the letters of, because I think he's a piece of shit. I really do. As far as an officer goes, I think that he betrayed the president of the United States and the people of this country and got what he deserved. Is General Custer.
Oh.
Because Custer wrote amazing letters to his wife, dude.
The problem with Custer was that he was a foolhardy moron.
Yeah. Well, he was sent to the Black Hills of North Dakota to do one thing and one thing only. And that was to report back to the president and no one else, and was explicitly told by the president, Ulysses S. Grant, do not speak of anything you find. If there's gold there, you report it directly to me and no one else, no one in the media. And what did he do? He went straight to the media.
He also
was
moronic enough to think that the Indians in the area wouldn't have firearms, and went in there with 700 men.
Oh yeah, it was
that. I think is his worst betrayal. Is he signed the death warrants of every one of his men because he's
every single person was with him, and the way that their bodies were treated afterward, and it was all
they
caused
did
by
nothing
him.
to deserve that. No. He's an idiot, and the only thing they did to earn that fate is follow him.
That's right. Yeah, you get it. You get it, Pope. So, hey, the movie we're talking about today. Have you seen this movie, Bat 21?
I haven't actually.
It's a really good film, dude. It is a really good film. And if you want to, I can send you the link so you can watch it while we're doing the movie instead of the slideshow. You'll probably need to speed it up if you're able to do through your browser. But wait, Anima, can you send it to him, the link?
But this is one
I'm in Photoshop right now.
I haven't actually seen.
It's a very good film. It's a solid film about a senior officer who's on a mission on a B-29 and gets shot down, and he's the only member of the crew to be able to jump from the plane before it crashed. Everybody else was killed.
That's a rare thing too, because normally if you do a bomber crew movie, you do B-17s.
Yeah, and this, of course, is Vietnam.
Yeah. Well, B-29 would be Korea.
I think they had C-130s, but they were using a heavy bomber. It was a bombing mission, and they used the B-29. As I recall.
Link is in the private chat, Pope.
All right. I will get that running here over on the other screen. But yeah, in Vietnam would have been a B-52.
It might be. Hold on. It might be a B-52. Do you have the information pulled up, sweetheart?
Because
I'm looking for it.
We retired the B-29s in like 1948.
No. They were still
Because we had something big. We had something better.
Because they still made up at least a quarter to a half of the Air Force on the Strategic Air Command.
The real Templeton was on board of the EB-66C, whatever that is.
Yeah, he was on an EB-66 destroyer.
That's
which, if
the
you
real
look at
guy.
that, boy, that looks
in the movie.
in silhouette. That would look like a B-29. That's probably why I thought it was in the movie.
That's what they did in the movie too.
It could also have been a B-36, which
it
knows
was
it looked like this B-29.
I'm reading right now. I'm on the information page on this, and he was the what was he? He was navigator on the aircraft. He was seated immediately behind the pilot, giving him the call sign Bat 21 Bravo. He survived for 11 and a half days behind enemy lines. And of course, they use it right here in the description, behind enemy lines, which would become another movie with Owen Wilson, a complete stoner, playing a soldier. Yeah. God damn it, he did a good job.
The first one was great.
I fucking love that movie. Yeah, the rest of them were just cash cows.
No. There's only one. There's only one.
Yeah, there is only one that we choose to acknowledge.
It's sort of like, I was talking about this the other day. It'll make you, I don't know if you know the films, it'll make you laugh. I said, there's only one Phantoms, the book.
Yep.
Because all of the movies, it doesn't matter.
Behind enemy lines. My cousin actually used to work for ICE. You know, they found one of the guys responsible for the Bosnian Wars in Peabody, Mass. In the late 90s.
Yeah?
Yeah, he was living here under false ID. And my mom's cousin is actually the one who arrested him. And he popped for something stupid. It wasn't anything that really twigged ICE's attention, but the social security number wasn't right. And that kicked it to ICE. And they're like, oh, okay, well, this is probably nothing. And then they found who he was. And they're like, holy shit, this guy's been wanted at The Hague for like 20 years.
Yeah.
Damn.
War crimes.
Yeah. Yeah, this wasn't a low-level guy. This was one of the guys who was behind the whole thing. So, like,
I remember when I was in the Army.
And so this guy's fingerprints came back, and it was just like, oh, hello, sweetheart. We've been looking for you.
I remember some of the shit that was going on there. Like, I forget his name. The old guy that they finally busted for those war crimes.
Yeah.
Yes, Milosevic. And holy crap. Somebody says, hey, man, they finally got that guy Milosevic. They got him in The Hague right now for war crimes. I said, what was his crime? Bad music? Only a soldier, a grunt, would fucking get that joke.
Oh,
because we have to listen to so much bad music in the military.
You're not wrong.
Hello, like somebody goes, I've got my Sony on, I got my headset on. I'm like, I can still fucking hear it. Like pretty loudly. And I joked about how I told Anima about how we're in the back of this fucking vehicle to be deployed out there on a FTX. And I'm prepping for it mentally, getting my brain wrapped because this is a huge fucking FTX. And my skills are going to be required because there's going to be a lot of mass casualties, all that shit.
Yep.
And if you went down if you had a camera and went down the fucking thing with a mic, you would hear one guy listen to death metal, one guy listen to punk, one guy listen to hip hop, another guy listening to fucking pop metal. And then you would get to me listening to Peter Gabriel in your eyes, prepping for this situation. Everybody's prepping for combat, and I'm in the mindset of just like, I got to chill. I just got
to you're just vibing out.
Yeah. And somebody made fun of me for it. I said, when you guys are all screaming and yelling and doing shit and things are going nuts, who's the one calm guy that's always around you? Me. I'm bringing it down. I'm the one bringing everybody back down. Let's calm the fuck down. Because Peter Gabriel, man, chills me the fuck out. I even got caught listening to Inya once.
Oh, wow.
Or some people call Anya, but it's Inya. And I loved her first album, 1989. Good album, man. Now, here we have a Sikorsky. And,
yeah, that's a CK.
Yeah. And, of course, the Marine Corps has the 46 and the Army has the 47.
We finally got rid of the 46. We replaced them with the Osprey.
Well, the Osprey is an amazing fucking vehicle.
It is. The problem is that we ran into with it is that nobody really knows how to fly them because you have two types of pilots in the Marine Corps. You have the fixed wing pilots that fly like fixed wing pilots, and then you have the helo pilots.
You've had problems with two vehicles, Pope. Two vehicles with the Marine Corps. More casualties on that plane than in any other branch of the military or the UK or Australia.
Yep.
You know what those vehicles are? One, Osprey.
The Harrier.
Two, the Harrier. That's right.
Yeah, the Harrier. The Harrier was a nightmare.
The Marines were like, how the fuck do you fly this thing?
Well, the problem is you can't. The real thing we had to get used to is there is no emergency checklist in the Harrier. You just punch out.
There you go.
Like you don't try to recover the aircraft. You just punch out. Because it's so, especially on takeoff with those tilt rotors.
There's actual footage of that with the Marine.
There is things happen so quickly you can't recover the aircraft.
Yeah. It's
so
like
basically,
on the ground,
if you start hearing an alarm, just hit the eject button. There
is a video footage of one of the crashes where it shows the Marine aviator. It looks like it slightly tilts right.
Yep.
And then suddenly you just see him go straight up,
and
that thing goes down because he knew that he had lost control of the vehicle when it did what it did.
Yeah, if there's any kind of loss of control, especially on landing or takeoff, they just punch. They're just like, nope, we have lost way too many guys in crashes. And the problem was the guys who knew how to fly the Ospreys would be your Harrier jocks.
Right.
But they're fighter pilots. They will never fly a transport. And you'll never get them to agree to do it.
I do want to show you this. This is one of my favorite avatars I just made. This is Astronaut Baby Keith.
That is amazing.
Oh my God.
And I'm going to send them to him so he can start using them. I think it'd be funny.
Okay. We have Joe being a member for 8 months.
Is Joe in the chat right now?
He was.
I don't know. Maybe. Well, so for him, this one.
Pudding? No, thank you, sir.
I fucking love that. Hey, what's in that cup? Pudding. Want some? It's a great scene.
Well, given how some people in the military make coffee, might as well be.
Yeah, it's the only thing that's good in the Army. This is where the plane goes in for its mission and gets hit by Russian rockets or a rocket and gets taken down. They crash, and he's the only one that jumps out. And then this is where the fictional character that Danny Glover plays becomes his best friend in the air while he's trapped down there for 11 fucking days in enemy territory. It's not like he's lost in the jungle and the enemy might be close. He's in the middle of the fucking active jungle with and I can't remember what year did this take place?
They don't say.
I'm looking at the original record.
Oh, the real thing? I don't know.
Yeah.
72.
72. So,
so that's
1972.
That's all North Vietnamese because we had decimated the Viet Cong. They were dead. There was like none of them fighting anymore. and the North Vietnamese didn't use them anymore.
Yeah, it was the North Vietnamese Easter Offensive that he landed into in the middle of it.
Because that was like that was basically the tail end of the Vietnam War, as far as we were concerned.
Yeah, because in '73 is when our assholes in Congress voted to defund the war, and we pulled out.
Well, we had signed a peace treaty with the North Vietnamese.
Well, we forced them to France to the Paris peace talks, and basically we kicked their ass so bad we completely killed the Viet Cong. They were done. And the North Vietnamese had their ass kicked so bad that because we had moved up, because Nixon moved us into Hanoi and go into camp and start.
Well, we hadn't gone there yet, but we were about to. Like we were massing forces at the DMZ to go into North Vietnam.
When we bombed North Vietnam, we bombed Hanoi.
Yeah.
That's when they said, okay, we're done with this war.
And
they're actually fighting to win now.
That's what actually made them sign the peace treaty in '73, was that we were starting to mass forces at the DMZ to go into North Vietnam on the ground.
Right.
And they were like, oh shit, I don't think they're kidding anymore. We might want to.
Yeah, because we weren't fighting to win. We were fighting to hold ground. And finally, Nixon took the gloves off and said, go into Cambodia, go to Hanoi. Let them know we mean this shit. And so that's what happened. And suddenly the peace talks and the treaty was signed. And that was it. That was really the end of the war. That was it. All we had to do was police Vietnam and make sure they, North Vietnam, adhered to the treaty.
Abided
That's
by the
all
treaty.
we had to do. And instead, our Congress defunds the war. We have to pull out, and they killed millions.
And as a result, the communists in the North went back on their word, like they always do, and immediately conquered the South.
You mean you're not going to force us to do these things? Well, then we're going to do what we wanted to do in the first place.
Yeah, right.
They invaded.
One of the stupidest parts of that treaty is we agreed not to use nuclear weapons. So why would we do that?
Yeah.
Vietnam doesn't have them.
Yeah,
and the Soviets are never going to use nukes to defend South Vietnam. Or North Vietnam, rather. In fact, the Soviets and the Vietnamese kind of hated each other.
Yeah,
like that was one of the funniest parts of the whole communist alliance, is that the Russians, the Chinese, and the Vietnamese all hate each other.
Yeah, the only reason they were together was for the pushing of communism, and that was it.
Yep. And the funny part is, right after we left Vietnam, the Chinese tried to invade Vietnam and got their asses beat too. Because they fought a war in '75. So shortly after North Vietnam took over the South. They then, Chinese then invaded, and they got their asses beat too. Because Vietnam and Afghanistan are competing for the, I think, world title in empire killing.
There we go. Got my page going here. I think you like this scene here in the comic book.
Oh, I bet.
This is the scene where he comes into the middle of a robbery and smokes these guys. He gets into a hand-to-hand combat with this one dude. He knocks the weapon. He uses a butt stroke to knock the weapon out of his hand.
Yep.
And as he's turning to shoot him, the guy grabs his weapon and let me scroll down. He does uses the barrel and the hand grip against the guy's neck with his wrist, reaches around the back of his head and just pulls him over, just like that. You can see it there.
Yep.
And then immediately tops him.
Yeah, that's something that you would do.
Yep. This is a combat move, and I put it in there on purpose. This is actually something commonly used in hand-to-hand combat by armed. If you're armed and you suddenly find yourself being grabbed by somebody.
I don't know if the Army trains that anymore. I know the Marine Corps does.
Rangers do.
Of basically, specifically melee combat moves with a rifle.
your tier 1 operators in all the forces share these techniques.
But
And
I mean, in the Marine Corps, they teach the average grunts this.
That's good.
And we refer to it as gun fu.
Gun fu. Which reminds me, we will be doing
melee combat with a rifle.
We will be doing Equilibrium. Speaking of
nice.
Gun fu.
Thank you.
You should join us for that one. It's a fun movie.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yes, it is.
So then you see these two guys here like, hey, what's going on? I heard some rustling over there by the register. And he just comes around the corner, smokes the first guy, 3-shot, pop, pop, pop. And then the other guy moves behind a wall. Now, what you haven't seen here is when he gets on the other side of the wall, he's cradled up next to the fucking donut fryer. And
nice.
So, just like I do, you track the movement.
Mm-hmm.
There's no guessing. You know exactly where that guy went to. And he just shoots him through the wall. The guy slams up against the fryer and it pours hot oil on him. And he comes up all like RoboCop with the guy all messed up. And he pops him.
Still one of the best scenes in that whole movie.
He pops up all like burned and shit. And he just nails him in the forehead. And that's on the next page.
I still love that in RoboCop, like the Barrett was considered like a super weapon, and now it's just a standard part of the inventory.
Yeah, I know. I never liked the Barrett. So.
I love the Barrett. The M107 was fucking awesome.
It kills your shoulder. It's got a shock absorber in it. It still hurts.
But the 107 is actually really good. Like they dampen the recoil as much as they really can. The best part about the Barrett is you can stop a truck at 2,000 yards.
Among other things.
Yeah. Well, we're not allowed to aim at squishy things with that.
He's so disappointed.
Well, I mean, we're allowed to engage things like their helmet or their weapon, but we're not allowed to engage them. That's how we have to write it. Not saying I used an M2 against people, but I was aiming at their belt buckles.
Well, back in the day, Audie Murphy, and the shit he pulled on that fucking tank destroyer, firing a 50 caliber and killed was it 150, 200 men, Germans?
Yeah, he basically wiped out a company by himself.
And he never faced any backlash for using an anti-armor weapon against humans, which
he had no choice.
That's against the Geneva Convention to use anti-armor against humans.
But at that point, we didn't care. We were in it.
Yeah, that's the point. Is he said, "Fuck you guys."
you can drop a mortar shell on a group of people, but God forbid you use a big ammo.
Any kind of complaint of war crimes or whatever against the Germans in the 1940s would have sounded really hilarious. I mean, just like in World War I, where they tried to say us using shotguns was a war crime. And we were like, really, Mr. Chemical Warfare? Do we really want to go down that hole?
And I can't remember what was our threat. The threat was, they said, if they capture anybody with a shotgun, they'll execute them immediately. And the American response was, you execute one American like that, and we will kill every fucking German we capture.
Yep.
And they shut the fuck up.
And my regiment actually went into Belleau Wood with 1897s. And that's where we earned the nickname Devil Dogs.
Yep. The Germans gave us that nickname because they were fucking terrified of the Marines.
Yeah. Because we just did not stop coming.
That's the problem with the Marines. They don't know when to stop coming.
Well, many such cases.
That's why there's so many fucking Marine babies. Little jarheads.
I wish I could deny that, but there's probably one or two running around Tijuana with my DNA in them.
For the core. That's the joke we should have from now on, Pope. It's like you can always tell it's a Marine when he's ejaculating because he yells, "For the core, Semper Fi."
I cannot wait for this November because we're turning 250.
Yeah.
So after the Army's parade, I cannot wait for the Marine Corps. Washington is going to be a circus that night.
It's going to be exciting.
And, you know, I only live 2 hours from Washington, so I might actually go in there for it.
Where do you live?
I live in the very northern tip of Virginia.
Because I'm from Fredericksburg, right?
Yeah, you know where Winchester is.
Yeah, I know exactly where it is.
Yeah, I'm right there.
Nice.
In fact, I live up the street from Daniel Morgan's house.
You are really close to Maryland.
Yeah. Maryland and West Virginia are right there. And oh boy, is it obvious that West Virginia is right there.
What does that mean?
I live really, really close to Appalachia. Well, actually, I live in Appalachia. But like the American rednecks that everyone, loves to stereotype, that's where they live. I live there.
Okay.
I'm one of them.
Sorry if I'm asking dumb questions, but I'm a Even Gerry still does it sometimes. Assume I know things that I can't know, not having grown up with American stuff around me.
Well, I thought you'd seen Deliverance.
Oh no, and I won't.
No.
No, it's a good movie.
I know enough of it. So yeah, it's a good movie, but man, no.
It's a good movie. It just gets really dark for a little bit.
Yeah.
Kills the rednecks, dude. It's a good movie. Yeah, he's just.
And that's when you know it's good, when the redneck agrees it's a great movie. Oh, but that is what out here looks like. I mean, it's some of the most beautiful territory in the United States.
Yeah, I love growing up there because it's just a gorgeous state, Virginia.
Well, the Shenandoah Valley in particular is just beautiful.
Hey, Wade.
Hey, Wade.
Hi, Wade.
And what's crazy down here, I mean, Gerry, you know this growing up here, but I'm from Massachusetts originally. This is where the Civil War was fought. Like, the Shenandoah Valley is basically
majority of the battles were in Virginia, and
right in the Shenandoah. I mean, there was 3 just in Winchester.
Stonewall Jackson gave one order before dying: keep them in the South. Do not take the war to the North. And what do they fucking do?
Well, that's the second time they didn't listen to him, and he was right both times. The first time that Lee really messed up was right after the first Battle of Manassas. Jackson told them to take Washington because there was nothing between the Army of the Shenandoah and Washington, D.C. except the army that had just run away.
Lee, look, don't get me wrong. Lee was a good general, but he was not very good tactically.
He was not aggressive enough.
He cost them the war, which I'm grateful for. But
I'm really not, because the character of the United States post 1865 is very different to what we were supposed to be, which is more.
Well, that's because Lincoln died too soon.
Yeah, that was the other part, is that before they could actually enact Lincoln's idea for post-war America, he got shot, and then Andrew Johnson was in charge.
Yeah, and it didn't get better when Grant took office either.
No, it didn't.
Because we were already in the middle of a recession and heading into a depression, and which is why Ulysses Grant was so focused, laser focused on what's going on in the Black Hills, with the gold. And he's like, if we do this, we could sparingly save this country and get us out of this depression. But it's going to be bad. It's going to go really far south. if we don't handle this correctly, because we had just signed all those treaties.
Yep.
And boy, oh boy, somebody got.
Well, he was right. It did go pretty far south very quickly.
Yep. I've always felt bad for Grant because he had such a bad.
He inherited such a shitty position.
Oh, he did. He's like, people get shitty about like King John, who was known as Prince John during the Robin Hood era.
Well, he was the prince. He was never the king. He was never king.
Well, he became king. He did. After
he saw himself as the king. He was never actually coronated.
I don't think that's true.
Well, he was.
But anyway,
I
want to get to my point. Yeah. My point is this: he was known as John Lackland, okay, because he didn't own any land like his brothers and his dad did, and so he got the nickname John Lackland. He became king. And when he did become king, John Marshall, who had been the marshal for Henry and Richard and now John, and he did not like Richard. I mean, he did not like William Marshall. And William Marshall was now a landowner, and he was part of the barons that went up against the crown.
Which I love that narrative of like, oh, I hate that guy. Well, good luck doing anything about it because he was the greatest knight of all time.
Yes, he was.
Like,
I've written extensively about him.
He was what, like
you'll like this
4-0 in duels?
Yeah, he never lost a fight. He's the only knight to have ever dismounted Richard. By killing his horse, taking it out from under him.
Yeah, like he was like this dude
in real combat. This wasn't like,
this dude.
Yeah, this wasn't like practice. Richard rushed Henry Plantagenet in order to steal the crown. He wanted to take the crown as ransom and take the throne. So he rushed out and he forgot to fucking arm himself. He was so excited. He left his weapons. And he screams at William Marshall as Marshall's coming towards him. He says, "Do not kill me, for I'm unarmed." And Marshall got so fucking angry that he rushed him with his horse and drew his lance down and stabbed the horse in the heart, killing it, and took the horse out from under him. And then when Richard took the crown and became king, there was a moment out there on the stairs in front of, I forgot the name of the abbey, Westminster.
Yeah, Westminster.
In front of Westminster. And he says, "All is forgiven, William." He says, "And of course, that mistake of people believing that you had unhorsed me." And Marshall was such a proud man, knowing that his head is on the block right now, that Richard could just fucking kill him. Refused to and this isn't ego, this is pride. He refused to let Richard lie like that. And he goes, "You know better than that. I killed your horse instead of you." And Richard got quiet and he says, "All is forgiven." Because he basically just like, "You know what actually happened. Shut up." Yeah. And it's not the only time he kind of verbally bitch slapped a king, because he did the same thing to John. Now, John, I brought up John because John has this horrible reputation of during his, and he somewhat deserves it, because he was going up there and he was, taking these barons and taking their firstborns and either hanging them, cutting their heads off, or catapulting them against the walls of their castles. Okay? Yeah, which is common practice. Magna Carta. And that is why the Magna Carta came about. But here's the funny thing, though. He's not the one that put England into a depression, which is when he became king. England was in a depression, so people weren't able to pay their taxes. It's Richard that did that because he because of the Crusade. Loved his wars. He loved having wars. And that's what people screw up with the Robin Hood tale. It wasn't stealing from the rich to give to the poor. He was robbing the government to give it back to the people. Yeah.
Well, he was not robbing anyone. He was recouping the taxes that were taken from the people. He was stealing it from the government who had stolen it from the people.
Which the best version of Robin Hood, if you've ever seen it, is the one with the Irish actor. I can't think of his name. Peter Bergen.
I don't know what you're talking about. The best version of the Robin Hood tale is still the Disney animated one.
No, I'm talking the most accurate. The most accurate.
Oh, the most accurate, yes.
Yeah, and because there was someone like him, but the fact is a majority of the things that Robin Hood is credited with in all the movies was, are you ready? William Marshall.
Yeah.
Marshall was the one who drove Philip of France with John when he was a prince back. And he says, and he says, don't come back until you're going to be king. Don't come back to England. And John had to live in France from that point forward. And that was in Lincolnshire where that battle took place.
Yeah.
And that was not Robin Hood. That was fucking William Marshall.
Well,
William
that's
Marshall
the funny part is William Marshall
Robin
was actually the real life figure behind like a 5 or 6 English legends.
Lancelot. And I have contested this argument many a time with
Lancelot is straight up based on William Marshall.
Absolutely, with the thing for the Queen, because Marshall had to run for his life one night when he was the military advisor for Henry the was it Henry the Third? His son, when he made him. No, Henry, because he was Henry the Second, and his son was it's Henry the Younger. That's what they called him, Henry the Younger.
Okay, yeah.
And Henry the Younger was the king of Wales. Okay, and he made William Marshall his general. Henry did, and but he became so well loved and popular, especially with what's her name, Eleanor of Aquitaine.
Yeah.
And she's the one who saves him, because in the middle of the night, a bunch of the knights who hated him had spread a rumor that he was sleeping with Henry the Younger's wife. Banging her.
I'm not so sure that was a rumor, because he had a habit of that.
Well, I'm just saying we have no proof of it. So what we do have a record of
is
that
one of those things that sounds like I swear it didn't happen. And all of his boys are like, yeah, we believe you.
So the thing is, though, they were jealous of him because he was so close to the king, both kings. And so Eleanor of Aquitaine came to him during the night to tell him, run. And he did. He went into Europe, and he went back to doing, what do you call it? The
tourney circuit. Yeah.
Tournaments. Yeah, he was into the tourneys. And he ended up like teaming up with this German, and just he became so fucking wealthy.
I will say it's a really, really good thing that he was so good with a sword, because he needed to be.
Yeah. So what ended up happening?
He got into, he needed to defend himself.
Oh yeah, he was hated from a very young age. He was hated as a squire, and
but he was the best. So nobody could beat him.
Nope. He was absolutely undefeated in hand-to-hand combat. Nobody could beat him. He was 6'2" in a period of time when the average height of a man was 5'2" to 5'4".
Yeah, this man was a giant.
His nickname as a boy when he was a squire was Waste Meat. They jokingly referred to him as Sir Waste Meat because he was so fucking big. And boy, oh boy, he could fight. At the age of 75, he went into combat with a general that was General Barreau, who was 35 years younger than him.
Yep. And
he went to take him hostage. He meant to unhorse him, but his lance snapped when he hit his chest, and when it split, the top of the lance was pushed up into the visor. And his lance went through the guy's brain and killed him instantly.
Well, that was the funny part, is guys used to die in tournaments all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't intentional. They made it as safe as they possibly could.
Hey,
11 Alpha says,
hey, 11 Alpha.
William Marshall was his 26th great grandfather.
Here's the tragic story, 11 Alpha. You were sired by the female side of the Marshall family, not the male. because all the males died without children.
Yeah.
All of his sons died.
At least all the ones
without
we
having
know.
children. Well, according to historical records, it's
because given Marshall's character, there's probably an awful lot of sons out there that
sons out there that because he was good with his lance, you know.
Oh, he was basically the 12th century version of a rock star.
Well, I've always said that Chaucer was not Chaucer. Who was it that did the story that we used to today on Excalibur? That wasn't Chaucer. Who the fuck was it?
Well, I mean, there is no known author on.
There is one that came in the I think it was the end of the 12th, 13th century that wrote.
There's no known author on the Arthurian legend.
I'm not talking about the original. I'm talking about that wrote it later.
Oh,
was that one was
Conan
a Frenchman? No, it was a Frenchman, and I do believe a Welshman wrote the first version that came out in the mid to late 12th century. God, I can't remember. Anyway, when they first started talking about Lancelot, they only talked about how great a warrior he was. But the story of him sleeping with the queen came later, and I absolutely believe that the only way that came into existence was because of all the shit that happened with William Marshall.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Lancelot is based on William Marshall.
Absolutely. And do you know that Philip of France?
It's a shame that he never wrote anything down himself.
Well, he had his squire, D'Early. He was his chronicler, and he chronicled his life while he was alive.
But it would be amazing to hear from the man himself.
Well, he is the first historical figure to have his biography written
while he's still alive.
While he was alive. And I always thought that was interesting. Not a king, but a fucking marshal, a warrior.
And I always say that the Saracens are really damn lucky that he was never a crusader.
Well, he did serve.
He did fight over there a couple of times.
Yeah, he fought over there with the Templars, and that's why on his deathbed he became a Templar Knight.
Yeah, but he was never part of the army. He was always there as kind of he was doing something else that led to Jerusalem.
He did fight. No, there is record that he did fight over there.
Yeah,
which is why the Templars wanted him. The Templars wanted him because they saw him as one of them.
Well, the Templars and the Hospitallers both wanted him.
Yeah,
this guy.
But he ended up being a Templar, and so on his deathbed, because a lot of people think, "Oh, the Tower of London is just a dungeon." No, it was also a hotel, and he had his own suite at the Tower of London. That's where he died, and oh my God, everybody was there. His wife was there. His children were there, and all of his friends. And it took him days because he was 75 fucking years old. The average age of somebody dying was in their fucking 40s to early 50s. That guy was not only a giant.
A lot because of the infant mortality.
It's pneumonia is what killed him, though. The great killer during that period was pneumonia.
Yep.
And hold on, I got to change something here. So I just want to point out that he was really old for that period.
Like, well, that's how you knew he was.
He had the Pope.
He had the personality that he did.
He was 20 years. He was 20 years older than the Pope.
Yeah,
it's like, and the Pope was old. So anyway, he's up in that room, and the Templars come up to visit him, and they say that they would love to have him become part of the order, but in order to do that, he has to take a vow of poverty. And
that was why he never joined them to begin with. Is they'd made the offer before.
He owned a lot of property.
But you had to renounce all titles and holdings.
Yep. So what he did is he left. He talked to his wife. He had to divorce her too. That was the other thing.
Yeah.
Or he had to annul their marriage, and because they were called the monk knights, for a reason, and they lived lives like priests. And
they were warrior monks.
So his wife, and they were the first special forces, which I don't agree with because I consider.
The funny part is the Templars also founded basically the modern banking system.
Well, they were the first Bank of England.
Yeah.
Absolutely, which is what got him in trouble. But anyway, the first special forces were the Spartans, historically. But the Templars were given the credit of being the first special forces. They're not really. But so he gave up his marriage, he gave up his land, and became a Templar on his deathbed. And that's why he has a monument at the Templars' Temple Mount.
Yep.
And I've been there. I made a pilgrimage as a child.
I really do want to visit Jerusalem at some point because it's such an important place in history, and there have been so many critical battles fought over it.
Yep.
It's just a fascinating place, and it's basically the heart of the Levant. Like that whole region revolves around Jerusalem.
Yep.
And I still think it's hilarious that, like, with all the current goings on between, Palestine and Israel, the people with the greatest claim to the Holy Land is actually England. Because the last king of Jerusalem was a British king. And then after World War I, when the Ottoman Empire fell out, who took over the Holy Land? It was all England.
Yep. Well, they were fucking everywhere.
Yeah. That's the funny part is when you look into how the British Empire kind of got most of their territories, it was mostly by accident. They didn't intend to have half of it.
Well, you hear a lot of people in India and in Pakistan bitch about England and what they did, and it's like there would be no India if
not for
England hadn't done what they did.
Yeah.
It wouldn't exist at all. It would still be one country. They were the ones who split it.
And arguably that was the wrong call.
I think so too, historically.
And, it's one of those things that, how do I put this?
Hey, everybody, I'm so sorry, but when I get Pope on and we haven't hung out for a while,
yeah, we
this
just
is
start
what
running.
we do. Yeah, so we're not talking much about the film. I apologize. But God damn it, I love talking history with you.
Yeah.
Arguing sometimes.
But it's one of the, to me, the partition of India was one of those ones like South Africa where Gandhi and Mandela are, held up as like these civil rights icons, and they really shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Because they were absolutely awful.
Well, lefties, they love their fake history.
Yeah. Nelson Mandela is a great freedom fighter. Ignore the fact that he's a fucking terrorist.
Yeah, because, Winnie, his wife.
She takes the blame for it, but I think half of that was his idea.
Well, while he was in prison, so she gets blamed for that reason and that reason alone. She had the practice of doing the I forget the name of it now.
Necklacing.
Where you stack tires. Yeah, necklacing.
Where do not look that term up unless you really want to have
Yeah, you do not want to look at pictures of that. It's really horrifying what's done. And this is a matter of historical fact that she did that shit.
And she's proud of it. Like she'll tell you she was responsible for it.
Oh.
That's I think what makes it even worse. It's not one of those necessary evils that was done during wartime, and it's one of those dark secrets that you did it, but it haunts you. She's proud of it.
Yeah. I hate fucking horrible human beings, man.
Yeah, which is what firmly drives her into the absolute shitbag camp for me.
Yep, ditto.
And Gandhi. Gandhi
was Gandhi too. Well, look, Gandhi was a cool dude in many ways, but the fact is,
he was also super not cool in a couple of ways.
Yeah,
like the fact
I don't know. Maybe we should get into what he did because I don't want to get in trouble.
Mhm.
We should save that for a stream when we don't want an audience. Okay,
But yeah,
so
if
let's
you
get back
ever-
in this movie. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Even Amnesty International back in the 1980s did not consider Nelson Mandela a political prisoner. No, he wasn't.
Yeah, he was in prison because he was a terrorist.
Yeah, he was fucking killing people. You know, and now we're seeing the payoff for that with what's
Yep.
going on in Africa right now. And finally, we have a president who said something about it. So I'm going to drop it now
Yeah.
because I can tell Anima is like crawled into a deep hole. She has no idea what we're talking about. She's like, I thought we were
She probably
supposed to
doesn't want
talk
to know
about
what
the
we're talking
movie.
about.
I'm making her sound like a really bad German. We were supposed to talk about the movie. She has never done that. Never said it that way. She always says, when I do my fake impression of her, she says, you always make me sound so retarded. And that's my fault because I am. Hey, but she loves me.
What is
so
an
what can I
Austrian
say?
except a bad German?
Oh, that's mean. Where are you, Anima? Why aren't you defending yourself against this man? She's not even here.
I don't want to.
I don't want to.
No.
I don't want to.
I went to play with my rocket kitty when you two were completely derailed because what's the point?
Well, see, this is what happens. Austrians start wars and then they just walk away.
They walk away. Oh my God, dude.
Ouch!
Oh my God, dude. You need to tell her you love her now.
I do love you, Anima. I do actually want to visit Austria someday. I've never been there, and it seems like a beautiful country. I just don't know if I'd be willing because I keep making jokes.
Yeah, it's like I don't think they want you there right now. Oh my God. I'm so glad you popped in, dude.
Just to make Anima's day worse.
I just want to look how this is about a little smaller. Hold on. Out. That's about the size of a comic page right there. And that looks good. That looks good. See, I go in really tight because my eyes are bad. And so I go in tight when I draw, but then I pull it back to look to see how's that going to look from
to a normal person. Yeah,
to a normal person when they see it on the printed page. I got into that habit doing movie posters.
Why is he depressing the trigger while he's drawing?
Because he's a gangbanger and not trained.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this guy is absolutely not military. My assumption when I wrote the scene was that he's probably 17.
And so, looking at that draw and where his finger is, he's about to shoot himself in the foot.
Or the dick.
Yep.
Either one.
Maybe
So
both.
he pulls the weapon out, spins, and he butt strikes it. You can see it here where he butt strikes it. And
that's actually one of my favorite moves with a rifle, is especially with a single-handed weapon like a pistol. You come around, strike it, and then guess where your buttstock is perfectly aimed at? Right in the face.
Yeah.
So strike it, strike him.
By the way, oh shit, I forgot what I was going to say. Never mind. Oh, that's too thick. God damn it. I hate this with my fucking inks. I got to get down to about a 7. For some reason, these brushes fucking ink thicker than what they look. There we go. Need to have that one come in. Go around the bicep. And then have the sleeve. There we go. Now we're talking. Now we're cooking with something. I don't know what. Steam? No. Cooking with charcoal? Charcoal?
Sure.
Oh, King of the Hill would hate that.
Oh, man. You tell them politely but firmly to leave.
That's how they figure out the code, which is brilliant because they know that the North Vietnamese are listening in to the conversation over radio. But because he's an avid golfer, he knows the golf courses on the military bases that he's been stationed on so well that they can use this to navigate him through the tunnel and know where he is so as to not bomb the area. Because what's about to happen is a massive airstrike against the whole area. They're going to flatten the whole thing. But he's still in there. And he's too important to fall into the wrong hands. Let's put it that way. That's why they're so keen on getting him out. It's not just saving a colleague, saving a soldier. It's pulling out a very high classified person.
And I don't know if you caught the undertone of that whole conversation, bringing that up, that he's too important to fall into enemy hands. Where they don't say it, but it's implied.
But there's an inference of, we either get him out of there or we have to make sure he doesn't make it. Yep.
Or
I think they do
part of one of the strikes. And they need to determine whether they can get him out or they have to plan on carpet bombing his entire area.
Well, they are pushing the strike back as far as they can, which is like 24 hours.
Yeah, they're basically giving him time, or trying to give themselves time to get him out of there before they have to kill him. Because that's the risk, is if he falls into Vietnamese hands, a lot of really bad shit could happen. So they need to make sure it doesn't happen. And the way to do that is, unfortunately, carpet bombing his area until it looks like the moon.
Yep. And it's just so tense because he's in contact with the black dude.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And all the time, and he tells him, yeah, we can't do it today. It's too hot. The area is too hot. We'll do it tomorrow. Day after day after day. And he just has to make it. Tipping them off all the time. He's basically directing airstrikes.
Yeah.
Where he is telling
well,
them
that was what the OV-10s were for, was directing artillery and airstrikes. They were acting as an observer.
Yeah, but not like that. Being alone in the jungle, surrounded by thousands of North Vietnamese soldiers that want to kill you.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is, like, the aircraft that Danny Glover is flying, that was what the OV-10 Buffaloes were for, was directing airstrikes.
Yeah.
Because you have to have someone there to witness the fall of shot and correct for whatever conditions caused that artillery fire to miss its target. Like, say you're 200 meters to the right. Okay, well, hey, left 200, fire for effect.
Fire for effect.
Because fire for effect is when they actually send the barrage. They're usually firing individual or a couple of shots before that. And you're basically walking your fire onto target. And then when you're close or right where you want to be, that's when you go, hey, fire for effect. And they send the entire barrage.
I want to show her. I need to show Anima what that means, fire for effect, because there's videos out there
of what an actual artillery barrage looks like.
Yeah, and I've told people, I said, you've never been around artillery until you know the feeling of the ground slapping your feet.
Yeah, you've never known that you have to keep your mouth open or you'll bite your own fucking tongue off.
Yep.
Oh, that sounds nasty.
Yeah, if you're on the firing line of an artillery unit, you have to keep your mouth open during the barrage or you'll bite your tongue off.
God.
Just due to the violence of a 155 shell. I mean, that's a 6-inch howitzer.
If you watch videos of it, you can see the earth cloud like a Wile E. Coyote when he lands. It's just all around that artillery. And I tell people, What's happening is it's a miniature fucking what's the hardest earthquake suddenly happening under your feet just for an instant.
Yeah.
And the earth slaps your fucking feet and it hurts. You get
those two trails on the howitzers are there so it won't roll back when it fires.
Yep.
Just digs into the earth instead. And even the M109s, our modern self-propelled howitzers, have that on the back of the truck or the back of the tank, if you want to call it a tank, where as soon as they're in firing position, they deploy those spades so that they can fire without rolling the vehicle.
Yep.
Because that is still a 155 millimeter artillery piece, which, by the way, is a World War II light cruiser armament.
Yep.
On a track vehicle. If they cannot fire at certain angles because it will flip the truck. Like they can't broadside the vehicle because it will literally roll the tank. And they look like armored vehicles. They're really not armored. It's very, very thin. Certainly can't take flipping on its turret at all.
So the whole reason, by the way, that they added the Danny Glover character is you needed someone other than Gene Hackman. You need to have someone for him to connect with, to express hope, loss, frustration to.
Yeah, and he's your conduit to your audience.
Yes.
And to make a good happy ending, because it's not just he's safe, but they meet and actually seem to be friends now.
And they have that fictional scene where they crash, which never happened. What ended up happening is UDT sent in a team before they were called SEALs. And,
that's actually, well, I mean, in 72, they were already the SEALs.
When did Marchenko name them? Because I thought it was later.
I think it was 62.
No, I'm going to have to look that up. I don't think that.
But right. SEALs and UDT were different for a while, and then they weren't.
Well, if you graduate UDT, you're a fucking SEAL. Because that's what Don explained about, not Don Ecker, but Don Shipley explained about.
But they were the same for a while, and then they weren't, and then they were.
Pro wrestler that was in Predator.
Jesse Ventura.
Yeah, Jesse Ventura is UDT, but he's also a SEAL. And he was a SEAL because he explains he graduated from Buds, and even though he's not called a SEAL at the time, he is a SEAL.
He didn't go on to one of the teams, but he is a SEAL. And 11 Alpha is correct.
I know UDT goes back to World War II.
Back up where they were doing ArcLight missions. For people who don't know what an ArcLight mission is, that's when they send in a B-52 at like 3,000 feet. It's what the infantry refers to as a thunder run. Because that's what it sounds like when a B-52 full of high explosive comes over at 3,000 feet and then opens the bomb bay. They were doing that around Quezon in 1968. Right about the Tet Offensive, and they lowered the height of several of the hills around Quezon. That's when you know you've officially messed with the wrong country, is when you need to then redraw your topographical maps after the war. And we did. That wasn't the only time during Vietnam. American ordnance literally removed terrain features.
You were right, dude. I thought it was in the mid 70s that they got the name, but they officially got the name under John F. Kennedy.
Yep.
In 62. Yep.
62. Holy shit. Because I know Marchenko was the one who established really what the Navy SEALs were.
Well, yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that Marchenko, what he did is he went and studied a lot of what other countries were doing. and brought that skill back with him to give to the Navy.
Well, the funny
And
part is
Martinez
the Marine Corps
badass.
kind of pioneered the Special Forces model with the Raiders
Force
in
Recon.
World War II.
Yeah, Force Recon, man.
Well, not with Force Recon, but with the Raiders.
The Raiders, that's right. Raiders with the Marine Corps and Army had the Rangers.
Had the
And
Rangers,
that was-
which were doing similar things, but they were
Yeah.
still kind of playing around with the idea.
Well,
And the
that's
British
really
were-
where
the
Special
British
Forces
were
got
just creating
started in
the
the
SAS.
U.S. And at the same time, overseas, the British founded in North Africa the first
The Desert
use of
Rats,
SAS
which
troops.
turned into the SAS.
Yep.
And we were all kind of playing around with the idea. And we had the SOE at the time, which was a joint American-British venture. That was kind of Special Forces like, but also mostly intelligence based. So it wasn't a recon force so much as it was an intelligence gathering.
This is a fun one too, because I just learned this about a year ago or 2 years ago, that today's Delta Force, the commanding officer that founded Delta Force was Green Beret. And,
well, yeah, they came out of the Green Berets.
But here's the funny thing. He went joint training over with the SAS.
Yeah.
And he
well,
brought back
the SAS is
everything that the SAS did.
Exists.
SAS is the illegitimate father of the fucking Delta Force. And people, I didn't know this until about 3 years ago when I was reading up on it. And I was like, holy shit, get the fuck out of here.
And I didn't know this until yesterday. Apparently, the Royal Marines are considered Special Forces.
I'm not surprised by that. I'm
not surprised at that either. They're good troops. I just figured that they were a branch of service like the Marine Corps was.
Well, the funny thing is they do.
But I knew the Royal Marines were nowhere near as large as the U.S. Marines, but I didn't know that they were considered Special Forces. Apparently, they're commandos. It's like, oh.
Yeah, man.
And because we train with them all the time, and essentially our grunts are trained the same way as their commandos, which is terrifying. That we have a force of 200,000, even the country like England considers special forces. But no, I mean, Delta Force is patterned off of SAS.
Yep.
100%. And that's why SAS is considered the best special forces unit on the planet.
And it's so funny because, like, you'll hear stories of guys from Delta Force that fought in combat with SAS, and you'll hear both of them bitch back and forth. And one of my favorite bitches from Delta Force is they don't understand us when we're saying things. And one incident that took place, this is on Sean Ryan's show. I was watching this. He says, I yelled, there's munitions on the roof. Don't throw grenades. And they said, right, grenades out. And they threw grenades.
Oh, that's
Delta guys were like, shit. And they're like ducking, thinking, oh my God, we're going to die.
That's one thing I've loved about working alongside the British Army is they don't give a fuck. Like, they will just throw down. And they do not panic.
Yeah, at all times, keep a stiff upper lip.
And their officers literally live by that. I've been sitting there watching a guy pointing out, firing positions with his little, riding crop. And yes, the British officers still carry those because reasons, even the infantry ones. And he's sitting pointing it, and there's machine gun fire coming in. I can see tracers going by him a couple feet away. And he's just not even fazed by it.
That shit's funny.
It's just like, what are you doing?
Now, this is a self-sacrifice scene that's really frustrating to watch. This is when the guy against orders takes his Chinook in to rescue him, and they end up getting shot down, and then everybody gets killed.
Yeah.
Eventually, he's forced to walk out into a rice paddy with landmines, and he's like, "Fuck you guys."
And that is the thing the North Vietnamese actually did a lot. They would use either civilians or captured prisoners as minesweepers. You can figure out how that goes.
Not well for the person doing it.
No. We had the term when I was in Polish minesweeper, but the Polish were not the ones who used it most. They were just not famous for it.
I love this image because it came in a joke book when I was a kid, and it showed them where they put two fingers in their ears and they're tapping forward in front of them with the tips of their toes.
Mm-hmm.
That was the minesweeper. That's so fucking rude. What happened?
I mean, the darker one is the actual Polish minesweeper joke when, they started taking guys who were paraplegics or had double amputees and rolling them out into a minefield on their wheelchair. And yes, they were literally doing that. But it was fine because they were Russians.
Yeah, I think Don said something. He fucking learned to hate the Russians because of Vietnam.
I mean, it's really just everyone who deals with Russia ends up hating Russia. That's why Poland now has the largest army in Europe. Because they're sick of Poland or they're sick of Russia and Germany's shit. They've been invaded both ways simultaneously. Which, isn't that funny that everyone loves to talk about Germany invading Poland starting the Second World War and not a word about the Russian invasion that happened 3 days later?
Oh, no, the Russians were allies, so they never want to talk bad about them. No, fucking Himmler learned all the shit he learned from Russia.
And Russia was largely responsible for their rearmament. Like, they designed everything and in Russia.
Well, he was friends with Stalin until
they weren't.
Stalin said, yes, we can be friends, but in the end, we'll help you win, but you will address me as the supreme leader. And
that was the funny part with the Soviet-German alliance, is that they were both planning on stabbing each other in the back. It was just which one of them was going to get there first.
Who gets there first?
And after Finland, Stalin looked like an idiot because he deserved to. And that's when Mustache Man made the decision to invade Russia.
Yep, we are not going to be allies. We're going to take Russia.
Yes, we were allies, but you look like an idiot and lost multiple hundreds of armored vehicles to a country that didn't have tanks. So, we're not friends anymore. Although, everyone else took the correct lesson from the Winter War in don't fuck with Finland. They don't like it, and you won't win.
We watched that miniseries that came out. It was pretty good. What was that called, Anima? We even talked about it on the show.
Conflict.
Yeah, Conflicti is the Finnish name. But it was really very good. They had Americans in there too. It was clearly an anti-Ukraine and pro that an anti-Soviet. What is the Soviets today? It just But I still like the show because it had a lot of military stuff in it. And it showed some really cool. This is when he dies. This is somebody who is actually his best friend in the story. And this is when he loses his shit and he actually shoots one of the North Vietnamese.
Although, not to talk shit about Gene Hackman, rest in peace, brother, but even he admits that he's been a much better soldier in movies than he ever was as a Marine.
Oh, yeah. He said he was
a bad Marine.
He said, but he made such an impact on his commanding officer that when he was a doorman at the Marriott there in New York, he was wearing his doorman uniform, and the guy walked up, this officer with his wife, stopped and looked at him. He says, "You still look like shit in a uniform." So he made some kind of impact on that officer. That was funny.
And, you know, I'll always give him the respect for actually having earned the title United States Marine.
Oh, he was a Marine no matter what.
It's not an easy title to earn, and you have to try to get rid of it. And even though, you know, he didn't like the Marine Corps very much, he didn't serve for very long. I think he only did 4 years, just like I did.
He did 2 years.
Oh, that's right. They had 2-year enlistments back then.
Yeah.
But he didn't like it. He wasn't compatible with the Marine Corps, and it's clear why. And he got out. He is a Marine until the day he dies, forever.
Yep. And, you know, he was very liberal is part of the problem. His mindset
was not compatible with the Marine Corps.
Nope. But later on in life, when he was in his 40s, while Reagan was in office, he was a big Reagan guy. He really loved Ronald Reagan.
Well, that makes sense because Reagan was a liberal as well.
Former liberal, that's right.
Well, not a former one. He was.
No, he left it. He
left the Democratic Party. That didn't stop him.
He converted. He is, in my opinion, the perfect liberal-minded person because
he's the one liberal that realizes that there is a cost to that.
Yep.
And you have to balance it.
You got to be realistic. And he told that story. I always love that story. He went to his friend's house and their daughter was there. And she says, one day I want to grow up to be president. And he says, well, what do you want to do when you become president? She goes, I want to make sure that, you know, we house and feed the poor. And he says, well, I'll tell you what, come over to my house. You can mow my lawn and I will pay you $50 to mow my lawn. Apparently Reagan had a big house and called the White House at the time. And he says, I'll pay you $50 and then you can take that $50 and we can go down to the homeless shelter and feed one of those homeless people with all your money. And she's like, well, why can't you just get the homeless guy to mow your lawn and give him the $50 for that? He goes, sweetheart, welcome to the Republican Party.
Yep.
I love that story.
My favorite line of Reagan's was always somebody, I think it was a reporter, asked him, like, you know, have you ever been wrong on something? And he goes, well, yes, for many years I was a Democrat.
Yeah, there you go.
I thought that was a great turn of phrase.
Yep, that's the way you turn it on the reporter. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I was.
And
the funny thing is I was a Democrat in the old days. I grew up in an Irish Catholic household with my dad, and basically, you know, I was a Democrat, and he and I converted. My dad and I converted at the same time. My first vote I ever got to cast was for the second term of Ronald Reagan. And I went, there's no coming back from this. I've made a decision.
Yeah. The first vote I got to cast was for Barack Obama, actually.
Son of a bitch.
Because I turned 18 in 2004. Or 2005, sorry.
Did you vote for him?
The first time, yes.
This is before you became a Marine. This is before you became a Marine.
No, this was during that time.
Wow. That's almost unheard of.
I voted for him the first time because, well, the alternative was John McCain, and we all knew what that was going to happen.
I'm also a hater of John McCain.
And I was like, you know what? Why not? And then we found out why not. And Mitt Romney was the governor of my state before he ran. So I voted for him in 2012. And then obviously Trump every time since. Yeah. Yeah, Reagan was a interesting character in American history. Like, could you imagine a Hollywood actor becoming the governor of California and then the president of the United States?
I tell you, it's just shocking when you really sit down and learn like some of this stuff. But anyway, let's get back to the movie.
But when you learn more, you're almost regretful that it wasn't Clint Eastwood.
I'm always surprised he didn't do something, but he only became mayor of Carmel because he wanted to deal with a specific problem, which I can't even remember what it was.
But he's the kind of politician I like, where he got involved in politics to fix an issue and then go home.
Well, it's exactly why he did it. Yeah. He was tired of this one problem, and he became mayor for this one reason, and that was it. And then he was done with it. I got to zoom out a little bit here. So let's get back to the movie a little bit here. Come on. This is when he goes on this bridge. This is a really shocking but heartwarming moment, because he goes on this bridge and the little boy kind of notices him and nods at him, a little Vietnamese boy, and he says hello to him. And then the boy walks past him, then stops and runs back past him again. And you find there's a fucking trap there. And the kid triggers it to save him. And then they trade objects. I can't remember what he gave the kid, but the kid gave him the hat.
I think some candy or something like that.
Was that it? Something like that. And it was such a
great chewing gum
moment. It was just such a good moment in the film.
And that's something.
Yeah, but after his encounter with that guy that he has to kill and then meeting his family, you're almost like, oh no, please don't go south again. And I mean, the kid grabs the stick he uses to walk from him, and he stares at the kid like, what the fuck, dude? And then the kid hits the trigger of that mechanism and saves his life.
Yeah, it's a booby trap. Yeah. And the kid saved him from it, because he probably would have been hit by it.
And, you're going to see that in movies, about my war and stuff like that, where we used to pay the Afghans. We'd give them $20 and they would go pick up an IED.
Fuck off, really?
No. Like that's legitimately what we do. Sometimes.
God damn, dude. God.
Like we would give them $20 and they would go and actually pick it up or disarm it, rather than calling an EOD and taking 6 hours. And sometimes they triggered, and sometimes
you got to cordon off the area, make it secure, then they can.
Yep. Or we would just go pay them $20 to go pick it up. And if it disarmed, it was great. If not, well, no one cared. So
this is where he's stealing the helicopter, and he has his tech guy talk him through it, because it's been 15 years, I think, since he was taught to fly these
he's
things.
Flown a helicopter.
Flying a helicopter is not an easy process. If any of you actually
you see that when he takes off.
Well, I mean, have you ever sat in the cockpit of a helicopter and tried to fly it?
No.
Tried to fly it? No.
I have. It's a complicated process because you're using both hands, and you have to use both hands differently. Because on the right, you have the collective, which is basically your throttle for the rotor, the speed of the rotor. And then you have your your stick, which is your pitch and yaw control. So you have to kind of balance that. And in order to...
Now you're getting into Martin's area because he knows a lot about yaws.
But in order to fly a helicopter, there's a reason they dip the nose is the rotor, the main rotor is the thing propelling you. So you're trying to fly with both hands something that is naturally unstable. Like, I've done it. It's not easy.
I would never even want to try, even though when I was younger, I wanted to learn to be a helicopter pilot.
I did until I tried to fly one.
Well, I did until I heard about the Jesus nut. And I'm like,
yep. Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah,
that's the only thing keeping me in the air?
Helicopter that keeps the whole machine together.
Yeah.
If that ever comes off, you're done.
It's called that. Yep. It's called the Jesus nut because it holds everything together.
Mm-hmm. If that nut is not there, the entire aircraft falls apart.
Yep. And so when I heard about that, I was like, yeah, I'm out. I don't want to do that.
I flew one once.
See, I told you, Martin.
I actually got in the cockpit of a Black Hawk.
You've been in quite a few cockpits, I hear.
Well, you know.
We don't judge here.
But I got in the cockpit of a Black Hawk, and I got about 10 feet up in the air, and then I just landed that fucking thing and walked off. Because
goddamn,
even taking off was such a goddamn hassle. I was like, no, thank you.
I met this guy when I was in the Army. He was with the French Foreign Legion. Nice dude. We stayed friends for years. And we debated for a long time who came up with the insult first. When he came up with the term cock pilot is the one that he came up with, calling somebody a fucking cock pilot. And I came up with, you are a USDA prime choice cock pilot.
Fair.
And so we debated who, and I said, I'll admit you came up with that first, but I came up with the funnier version.
Well, yeah, you iterated on it.
He was a really cool dude, man. I wish I'd stayed in contact with him.
I knew a couple of helo jocks. I also knew a couple of fighter pilots that went on to fly F-18s.
Yeah.
I've been in the back seat of one of those F-18s. And you remember the rivalry between infantry and aviation.
Sure.
How do you think I got treated for that 90-minute flight?
Oh, I'm sure you were shit on a lot.
Oh, no. I mean, first of all, I barely fit in the back seat because I'm 6'2". Fighters are not. I didn't
know you were that tall. Okay. Or as my dad would say, I didn't know they stack shit that high, man.
But I'm a big guy. I barely fit in the, the Wizzo seat.
Right.
And, my friend lured me into this by like, yeah, we're just going to go up and, look at Pensacola and see all the fun things and stuff like that. That lasted about until we got rolling. And he pulled off the runway perfectly fine for about 10 feet and then did this. And kicked the afterburners in, and
he wanted to make you.
Oh, he tried. I didn't throw up. I didn't. It was close though. He was pulling like 8, 9G turns.
Is that they do that all the time with non-fly people? They will fucking take them up there and they will do that straight up thing, and you go to 0 Gs. You're being pushed.
Well, when you nose over, yeah, you're temporarily in zero G.
That's when humans can't handle it. Your brain freaks out and they will fucking.
Well, the funny thing is, it's not your brain; it's your inner ear. Because of the mechanics,
that's why they call it the vomit comic, because that's what they do.
It doesn't have any input, which is not a thing according to human evolution. So it returns like an erroneous figure, and then you throw up. Because
so this is
that's
when
your body's natural response to something.
Danny Glover steals the helicopter,
input saying, "Hey, something's wrong." Your body's first instinct is, "I've been poisoned. Throw up."
Right. This is where Danny Glover, having stolen the helicopter, hits him, and then they get shot down. This never happened. The Navy sent in guys that actually got him.
Well, that is one of the few times in movies I have actually seen an F-100.
They're handsome jets, man.
They are. I mean, most of the Vietnam era jets are just pretty.
Well, the F-4E Phantom, that was my first model kit to build, was a Phantom.
And the funny thing is, she's not like the Phantom isn't a pretty aircraft.
It's handsome.
It's a giant brute of a fucking aircraft. But I love
take that back.
Once again,
it's beautiful.
No. I understand what he's saying, because it's not a graceful looking fighter. It's not pretty.
It's a brick with 2 jet engines on it.
It is fucking badass. It's got a chiseled design that's very masculine in its design. And I fucking
you
love
want a pretty fighter? I'll give you its replacement.
F5.
The F-14.
Well, the F5 too.
The F5 Tiger is one of my favorite aircraft of all time.
Corvette. It looks like a Corvette.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. It's maneuverable. It's fast as shit for its size. And
okay, I'll buy you fast, maneuverable, but it's not beautiful. No, it's not.
I'll put it this way: the F-14 is actually the best fighter aircraft we've ever designed.
Oh yeah.
It's actually more maneuverable than the F-15.
Yeah.
The reason it doesn't have the reputation of the F-15 is that no one was stupid enough to go up in the air against it. So it has 4 air-to-air kills for MiG-23s. Whereas the F-15 is 104-0. 104 aerial victories to no losses. The Tomcat is kind of like the F-22, where it's so terrifying no one wants to go in the air against it.
By the way, whatever happened with the Tomcat 21 project?
That was considered for a while and then dropped because the F-35 was basically going to do most of the things that the Tomcat did and be more capable in other ways. So it was really more of a pipe dream from guys who, like me, who really, really love the Tomcat than it was a functional project.
It's a pity.
It's unfortunate because the Tomcat was, like I said, the best fighter aircraft the United States has ever built. But it never got its chance to prove itself because no one wanted to go against it. Which is understandable because it would be like basically Terry Crews just stepping into the octagon and going, "Who wants some?" Almost no one is going.
I do.
Yeah, almost no one is going. Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, you got one guy in the back with his hand up, going, "Ooh, I'll take that. I'll take it." Like, What the fuck's wrong with that guy?
You see that is one of the reasons I do not like the first Top Gun.
Why?
It's, because when they promised me we're gonna fight MiGs, and you see an F5.
Yeah,
Well,
the
that was
F5.
the
Well, they didn't have any
Well,
MiGs.
we did
So they dressed the MiGs
at
up
Top
as,
Gun
I mean, the
in the
F5s
80s.
as MiGs.
Yeah, but you could
F5
use
and A4.
anything. You could have used anything except for a freaking F5.
Well,
F5.
here's the thing: is we used those as aggressor aircraft at Top Gun at the time.
And
There
it's
were
true.
aggressor squadrons full
Really?
of F5s and A4
Yeah.
Skyhawks that were
It's
the
because of
aggressor
the
aircraft at Top
maneuverability
Gun.
that they were harder targets, and so
They were actually
really
harder to
did use
hit. They were actually more maneuverable aircraft than MiG-23 or a MiG-29.
Yep.
So they
So
knew
they-
that if you could if you could out dogfight an F5, you could out dogfight a MiG-29.
That's all nice and dandy for training, but I wanted to see my MiGs on the movie.
Well,
That's all they
you're
have.
not wrong. And I will agree with you. The
I felt
MiG-21
cheated.
is a beautiful aircraft.
Yes, it is. I used to have.
That's why
used to
the
have a
second
model.
film, Maverick, is better.
More better.
It's more better, as my brother would say. Yeah, more better. It's more better.
And
Although
and
I
with-
will take issue with it
why?
that you manufactured the point that there's an F-14 in Russia somehow.
Captured. Yeah, captured. Well,
But
right.
it's an F-14A. It's the 80s version of it. So my fucking darling, the Super Tomcat, never gets an appearance on screen. You know, the actual best Tomcat. So it's just like, oh,
Well,
really?
maybe the next film, because I'm sure there will be one because they made so much fucking money.
I mean,
What
Maverick
I call,
made so much
I
money.
refer
Yeah.
to Maverick. Maverick is the best Star Wars movie since 1980.
Yes,
not wrong.
it is indeed.
So what I'm drawing here, if you can't tell, that's the front of the armor.
Yep.
And I was going to draw the straps that go across, but you're not going to really be able to see them here because of the shading I'm doing. Because he's coming up at an angle from beneath this guy, and I need to have a lot of shading here. So
Holy
it's almost like his
shit,
whole
Bobby.
body is shadow as he comes up. I haven't done the weapon yet. I'll do that last,
Yeah.
even though I drew his pistol. Because his was important because it's up front. But the one that John's carrying is pretty much going to be almost solid black.
Now, what's that mask you have over him?
That is the ballistic mask that was used by some of the Rangers and Special Forces.
Oh, that one they tested for a while?
Yep. And so this is all he could get.
You know why we stopped testing that, right?
I have no clue.
It didn't work. It was not ballistic proof, and it also restricted your breathing to the point where you couldn't run.
Well, that's why one of the newer ones I like a lot that attaches to the helmet looks more like Trojan armor, where it attaches up on the rail system, comes down and just covers the cheeks.
Well, there's also a couple of developments that have to do with Neuralink that are
Really?
pretty exciting.
Nah,
Here we
I'm
go.
not excited
Hold on.
about that.
Well, because
I'm going to show you this. This is what happens
we've been
to his
playing
mask.
around with exoskeletons for soldiers
Here you go.
for years
This
now.
is. Can you see this?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
This
it
is
makes-
what
that
happens
was
to him
fun.
when he takes a shotgun blast to the face.
Yeah. All right.
And I wanted to show the layers inside the mask. All
Yeah,
those
because
layers.
that's how ceramic or Kevlar weave stuff is protective, is layered.
And I gave him a busted nose because when he gets blasted, even though the mask takes the brunt of it.
That's what people who've never been hit in one of their plates think, is that like, oh, it just stopped it. Like, no, that energy did not stop.
Look at his head.
Yep.
That is
I'm taking around in the
unpenetrated.
chest plate, and
He took a
I thought I got shot.
7.6. He took a 7.62 to the head.
Yep.
And
there's a big difference between a 7.62 by 39 and a 7.62 by 51.
Read that.
Well, it seems it may be surrounded. I believe Chesty Puller had something to say about that.
That's absolutely the general attitude. He's got his fucking M4 there. You got these European submachine guns pointed at him. You know,
that's still one of my favorite Marine quotes of all time is, "We're surrounded on all sides. Good. The bastards can't get away from us this time.
You can't get away from us. We got them right where we want them."
Oh, like that is what I love about the Marines above all else, is that you can surround us and have us in the worst tactical position of all time. Our opinions of winning have not changed. It's like we're still going to find a way to beat you.
Yep. They are the tenacious fucking pit bull that just doesn't know to quit.
The way I love to describe us is that, the U.S. Army is a tool of military or of national policy made military. The Marine Corps is when you've just pissed off the United States and realized why the guy in uniform the guy in the suit was right. Because we'll just come over there and beat you about it.
Yeah. Well, I've always explained to people the difference is the Army, even though it does specifically like in the European campaign, it did a lot of the work that would normally be the Marine Corps. The Army is not an invasion force. That's usually the Marine Corps and teams like Navy SEALs. Delta Force will do it too. But basically, the Marine Corps, their job is to go in and take something. And the Army's job is to hold it when they're done.
Pretty much. It's like the Army's job is to win wars, in large-scale wars.
Yep.
The Marine Corps' job is to kill people and break their shit. Essentially. So they send us in, and then once we're done, the Army will come in and basically run things. Because we don't have the heavy equipment the Army does. Especially now that they took away our tanks.
You guys get stuck with some of the fucking worst hand-me-downs. I think one of the worst was when the Marines went into Vietnam, first went into Vietnam, they were wearing fucking flak jackets.
Throughout the entire Vietnam War, we were wearing
1951, they were wearing flak jackets and they were wearing World War II era, not Korean War.
Actually, the funny part is the
M1 helmets.
The camo pattern we had during the Pacific War came back during Vietnam because it actually worked better than the green fatigues that they were wearing.
The Marines also rejected, took what we rejected, the M14.
The M14, actually, no, the Army used it too.
We did not keep it. It's why the M16 came into existence, is because the U.S. Army did not like.
Actually, not true. You know who was responsible for the? Who was responsible for the adoption of the M16? The Air Force. They liked it. Both the Army and the Marines didn't want it.
The Army bitched about it being too heavy, which is how you guys got stuck with it.
No, they were not happy with the M14, correct. But the Air Force is the reason we adopted the M16. And most Marines, upon being given the M16 for the first time, were underwhelmed, shall we say, by the 7-pound rifle that had a triangular handguard.
Yeah.
That they had on the OG M16s. Guess who made those? Mattel.
Oh yeah, Mattel
yes.
made the plastic. That's why they were called the Mattel 16.
Yeah, and they were stamped with the Mattel logo. So these guys were going to Vietnam with a rifle they'd never trained with, because they were all trained on M14s. And this is a light rifle that when you put a 5.56 round next to a 308, it looks like a fucking BB gun.
Yeah, it does. I tell people that all the M16 fired was a glorified rodent round.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a 22 with a lot more ass behind it.
Yep.
And yes, CJ Prime, Mattel, the toy company.
Yes.
So these guys had grown, and keep in mind, especially with Americans, most of us learned to shoot before we joined the military. So they all had bigger, wood stocked rifles, and then were reinforced with that with the M14. And then they get this aluminum and plastic piece of crap that is 7 pounds and is stamped with the same company logo that makes their kids' sisters' toy dolls.
Oh man.
What kind of confidence does that give you in your weapon going into Mortal Kombat? Yeah.
All right.
I have another joke about that, but I save it for
the M16
after the show.
It's actually kind of to the point where they could not have given the M16 a worse introduction to the troops. For a great gun. I carried it for years. I own 3 of them. But
now
the way they introduced it was really shitty.
Guys, I hate to be that guy, but Gerry, you said that you have to go early.
Yeah, I have an appointment at 12:45, so I got to get ready to go.
So we reached the 2-hour marker.
Let's go ahead and end it.
It's up to you.
I know Anima is completely disappointed that she didn't get to throw down much of her knowledge today.
Well, that happens from time to time. It was nice to have you, man. Bob, I miss you, man. Well, I'm so glad you
be here fairly regularly going forward.
And man, do you have some armies there?
Yeah, I have all of these. That's not even all of my 40K stuff. And you haven't seen my desk. That's all Battletech.
Oh man, you need to post picture of that on the.
I have on my left is part of my SLDF unit, and then on my right is its successor, my mercenary company.
Yeah, I enjoyed seeing those when you first moved there. And, what was that on? I can't remember. Was that on Toxic Tuesday? But getting to see
it wasn't Toxic Tuesday. I think that was on your show.
No, I was on someone else's. It might have been Brian's show.
Oh yeah, it was 70s.
Yeah, getting to see your fucking new place and all your you just started setting up your toys.
Yeah,
it was really cool. So, but anyway, Martin, can you read the names because I'm still trying to finish this artwork.
Yes, I can. I can assure how well I will I do it, but yes, I can read them. We had today we had with us Snortapupus Cuber.
Yeah.
Emmanuel sent our regards to Regis, please. We had Tom Baker, CJ Prime, Eastlyn Burkholder, Mephisto for a little. Oh, and we have. Well, I will read this. We have Gambit, Penny, Real Weight, 11 Alpha, Jacob the Critic, Hollow Phil, and just arriving with a super chat, Lost for Words. Thank you very much. And well, it's a super sticker. I think it's a avocado giving a thumbs up or a pear.
Avocado.
I don't know. I just work here. Let me
work here.
Something for Lost for Words. Thank you very much. Do you have this video here?
Nerd! Fucking nerd.
Come on. We are all nerds here.
Fucking nerds.
Who are you trying to fool? You're the biggest.
I thank everyone for coming. And if you find me talking about how war is a bad thing while wearing a nuclear assault t-shirt is funny, go ahead and hit that like button.
By the way, just so you know, on my helmet liner, the band around my helmet liner that I wore in the Army, I wore it, and it was like, it always said one thing on it, peace. And then in smaller print, if you got close and read it, it said, by superior firepower.
Fuck yeah. And I mean, Gerry,
I'm not a hippie.
Assault during East Coast thrash band.
Yep. I used to have a joke too back at the time that went just like this. If you've seen one thermonuclear war, you've seen them all.
Yeah, because you're only going to be one.
That's right. Doing a little shading here. There we go. All right.
Well, there's only one ending to a nuclear war. And then you just kick in the Terminator theme.
It's I've always joked that it's the beginning of the kingdom of the cockroaches.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we do need to think about what kind of world we're going to leave for Skynet.
Fuck Skynet. Supposedly it can fix everything. So that's its problem.
All right. Panel done. Well, mostly done.
Mostly. Thank you, Halloween.
I like that. I like that. Plan a charge on the like button. I like that a lot.
I like that a lot. I like it a lot. Let's see.
Yes.
Well, yes, 11 Alpha, that is absolutely how you should control a weapon. Stay in position, aiming point. In my case, usually from a tripod. And then just let rip.
I've also, like in the movie Black Hawk, when the ranger officer is like giving him shit.
Yeah.
Says, you need to have those weapons safe. And he goes,
this is my safety, sir. Dude, do you have any idea how many times we've had to deal with that with like Pogue officers? They're like, this is against regs. Like, we don't fucking care. Go away.
Yep.
And like they thought that because they were officers that they had control over an infantry unit. And like they would be like, oh, this is wrong and this is wrong. It's like, we don't fucking care. Go away.
Go away.
And it's like,
all right.
And we're just like we were at the point where it's like, you're about to get your ass beat. I don't care if you're a major or not.
All right. So speaking of go away, we're going to go away because I got a doctor's appointment. So I want to thank everybody for being here today and enjoying, I hope, our derailment of the show with Pope and me, talking history and shit, discussing, arguing, debating. I don't know.
Oh, only we could talk about a movie like Bat 21 and end up on a rant about William Marshall for like 20 minutes.
William Marshall, and then about Vietnam, fucking fighter jets. The problem is Captain Steele was right. The Delta Boys were a bad influence on his 18-year-old Bat Boys. Yeah.
Captain Steele was a fucking war criminal and was absolutely wrong about everything. And yes, then Major Steele went on to be an actual war criminal during the initial invasion of Iraq in 2003.
What did he do?
Hit a civilian village with artillery. Yeah, look up where his career ended. He is not a good person. And also got accused of executing prisoners. Which, as something even I have never been accused of.
Yeah, it's sort of like the real life coffee guy from Black Hawk Down. He's they had to change his name in the movie. I mean, they changed some of the other names for other reasons, but they had to change his name.
Yeah, because he did some shit.
Yeah, Stebbins raped his daughter and other messed up shit and tried to attribute it to PTSD. And it's like, look, man, I'm sorry.
I mean,
PTSD,
it was all after that deployment, so I am willing to entertain.
No, it's like, yes, look, you definitely have PTSD. 4 times he got hit by explosives. We're going to talk TBI too, but the fact is, there has to be.
Well, I mean, at the same time, too, there's also the argument. I have 2 TBIs. I haven't fucked my dog yet.
There you go. That's what I'm saying. It's like you still know that that's wrong.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
Why I aren't that scrambled yet?
He lost that switch somewhere. He lost that switch, and that's a moral issue.
At the same time, I'm willing to believe that brain damage is extremely specific. Like, I know a guy who had a master's degree from Harvard and volunteered to join the infantry. Brilliant dude. We had really, really great conversations about a lot of stuff. Unfortunately, he got hit by an IED in 2009. And now he can barely speak. He can still write just fine. Like, he actually carries a whiteboard with him.
He is aphasia.
Yeah.
That's messed up, man. Hey, Alpha says, I'm aware of that. The point is self-discipline SF NCOs are not the same as 18-year-old kids with only ROP and no tab yet. And I get what you're saying completely, Alpha, that they need to be paying attention to their own NCOs and not, they all probably would eventually want to go special forces, but they're not there yet.
This is the funny part is the Rangers like to think of themselves as special forces. They're only about as well trained as your average Marine. And when we go toe-to-toe with them, we wipe the fucking floor with the Rangers, and they have 3 times our budget. Any Rangers in the chat? Yes, I'm better than you. Fucking
oh, damn fighting words, boy.
Yeah,
I was just reading this. We're going to be doing this on Wednesday. License to Kill with Timothy Dalton, and it's going to be fun, man. It's going to be fun.
I will say, Timothy Dalton is an underrated James Bond.
He is, in my opinion, Keith's opinion too, the most accurate Bond.
Yes, in a lot of ways. If you've read Ian Fleming's actual novels, he is probably, in terms of tone and
guess why
appearance,
guess why
the closest to James Bond.
Can you guess why? Before we go,
not offhand.
Timothy Dalton to date is the only actor to play James Bond who has read religiously the entire collection. And that is why he turned it down in 1969 Turned it down again in
I
the
thought
70s.
that, Pierce Brosnan had as well.
No. Pierce he's a fan, but nowhere near like Timothy
Well,
Dalton.
like that's what I
He was a
knew. Is that
diehard,
he said
read
he was
all
a
the
James
books,
Bond fan,
and he
for a
read them
long time.
religiously. When he turned it down in 69 and in the 70s, he was too young. And he said, I won't play it. I'm too young. And so they finally offered it to him again, and he took it. And he was just the right age. He had just hit his 40s. And that's when we saw Timothy Dalton play, in my opinion, probably not just the truest Bond, my favorite Bond. Right above, like Sean Connery and then Timothy Dalton by a hair's breadth.
His two movies as James Bond do not compare, in my mind, to his best role ever as Neville Sinclair in The Rocketeer. He was such a good
Anima
villain.
hasn't seen this yet, and we've got to see that. So we're going to get out of here, guys, because Pope and I will just keep talking. Here's a word from our sponsor.
And now a word from our sponsor, Gerry's Wholesale Sausage Emporium. Are retail hot dog prices making you crazy? Come on down to Gerry's for all your discount dog needs. Was this really the best we could do?
Blue Apron passed.
Okay. Let's get vulnerable, Langley. Let's get sexy. First caller gets 11 feet of Gerry's signature summer sausage.
That's 11 feet, ladies. Or guys. I don't care.
That's a lie.
We do not discriminate on this channel.
I don't discriminate on this channel. I will give my sausage
to anyone who asks.
I'm sorry. I fucking love that clip. That made me laugh so hard when I saw it. Burt Reynolds was almost Bond. Thank God he wasn't. So, all right, we're out of here, guys. Everybody have a great day today. I've got to go to the doctor, go do the doctor thing, and I'm so glad you're back, Pope. I miss you so much. Joe's going to be gone for 3 weeks, so it's just going to be.
I haven't meant to be absent. It's just that I keep having things to do on Mondays.
You don't worry about it, man. I'm grateful when you guys can make it. I deeply appreciate it, but it does help me with the way we promote the show, which is, this is the show where military veterans and their friends talk about military movies, and I kind of like that, even though we didn't today. But that's because you and I haven't hung out for a while, so we derailed a lot. So everybody have a great day today. I will see you again on Wednesday with James Bond. We're doing License to Kill. It's one of my favorite Bond films because it shows stuff from the books that really happened in the books, and I liked it. So.
And License to Kill is one of the ones that was actually an Ian Fleming novel, not based on one.
Yeah. That's the one where Felix Leiter got his leg bit off by a shark, and it's in the movie. You better discuss Boys in Company C. I'm not gonna, because you want it so bad. No, I'm gonna do it eventually, because it's on the list. I like that movie. It's Arlie Ermey's first movie. So anyway, we're out of here, guys. Everybody have a great Monday. We'll see you on Wednesday. Chief might have a show tomorrow. I don't know. But if he does have one, stop it and see it because it's always good.
No,
and 11 Alpha has a great idea of we need.
I'm trying to end the show. Trying to end the show here. Don't argue with me, Martin. Just let me end the show. If there's a show tomorrow, go see it. If there's not, which it sounds like there's not, don't see it. Go do something else. There's always stuff to do. But remember to come back and watch us on Wednesday because we're going to be talking about Timothy Dalton, James Bond. Anyway. Have a great day, guys. Bye.
Bye.
This episode was brought to you by Crappy Cameras.
Y'all come back.